Animal Care, Unit 1, Animal Health. Summer 2017 paper. One symptom indicate the presence of mites. The answer is hair loss, because the mites bite and the animal scratches, and as it scratches it loses fur or hair. Marek's disease. Marek's disease is found in chickens. Marek's disease is when a chicken has an infection and it causes its eyes to weep. Another common question is ORF. ORF is in goats, where they get scabs around the mouth. But Marek's disease is a chicken, where they get a discharge, a runny eye. Identify two of the following signs dog's eyes were healthy. Crusty discharge, no. Third eyelid, no. Weeping, no. Clear and bright. Open and close freely. Clear, bright eyes that open and close freely with no discharge, no runniness. Two zoonotic diseases that can be passed from animals to humans. Ringworm, round red circles called lesions, where your skin gets round red rings and becomes sore. Salmonella is a disease passed through contaminated food, often eggs and milk. Tartar. Tartar is caused by bacteria in the mouth, and you get tartar on your teeth, the coating on your teeth. Here's a worm. It's a ringworm, a parasite that lives in the gut, in the intestine of animals. These are hooks to hold on to the intestine wall, and B are segments. They can break off and go into the feces, and then the worms can then carry on their life cycle. A symptom of ORF in goats, I mentioned this earlier, it causes scabs in the mouth, scabby mouth, or you could say sores in the mouth, sores or scabs in the mouth. An unhealthy coat in rabbits, maybe it's matted, maybe the fur is matted, or maybe there's patches of hair loss. That might mean that it's got mites. Feline herpes virus in cats. If you're not sure about something, then there's a good chance that if you think about when you get a cold, the same kind of symptoms happen quite often in viruses and bacteria. So a runny nose, runny eyes, sneezing, high temperature. So runny nose, runny eyes, sneezing would get you, any two out of those would get you the 2 marks. Overgrown nails in dogs. So you have to clip their nails to keep them short and walk them, exercise them on a hard surface. Quarantine. Quarantine is when an animal comes into the country to try and prevent that disease, like rabies, coming from one country into another. So the dog has recently come into the country, and for the second mark, might carry an infection. So it's quarantine, kept in a place away from any other animals until we're sure when it comes into the country that it's not going to pass on that disease. How skin thickening can be caused by flea bites. Flea bites bite the animal and irritate the skin. It's worth 1 mark. And then the animal scratches and that thickens the skins. The flea bites the animal, irritates the skin, and the animal scratches the skin. A decrease in an animal's pulse rate. The most obvious one is that it's asleep. That will get you a mark. Or a decrease in pulse rate can also be caused by shock. 2 reasons why you may get an incorrect result when weighing an animal. Well, the obvious one is that the scales are faulty or broken. You could also have that the scales have not been set to 0. Or you can have that the animal is moving on the scales. Faulty scales, broken scales, scales not set to 0, or the animal is moving around. A law that names notifiable diseases. The law for this one has got a special name called the Animal Health Act. Just check. Animal Health Act. Two signs of canine distemper. Remember what I said, 2 symptoms if you're not sure. Runny eyes, runny nose, sneezing, high temperature. They're usually common symptoms of some kind of disease or virus. Healthy bearded dragon's feces, the poo, is black and white. That's true. Changes to feces to indicate ill health. Now it's for 4 marks, so we want to know what we see and why that is. So, quite often with bearded dragons and reptiles such as snakes and tortoises, they get stressed. So, ill health in these animals is usually due to stress. So maybe the feces changes colour due to stress. That will get you 2 marks. Maybe the feces becomes runny because of stress. You can also have blood in the feces, again caused by stress. Another reason that these happen, by the way, is due to change in diet. So blood in the feces due to stress or change in diet. Change in colour in the feces due to stress or diet. Or change in consistency. That means it becomes runny. Runny feces due to stress or change in diet. How sheep ticks act as vectors. Remember, vectors are biting animals, biting parasites. Ticks, fleas, mites, mosquitoes all bite you. So there's 1 mark for saying they bite you and they pass on an infection. Why sheep ticks are commonly found inside the ears of dogs? Because remember, they're trying to bite you for 2 marks. There's not as much fur inside the ear of a dog, so the tick can get close to the skin to bite and suck the blood. 2 disadvantages of using topical liquids. The best example of a topical liquid is spot-on treatment. That's like a liquid in a tube used to treat worms and fleas in dogs and mites as well. Any vector animals, biting parasites. Now what's the problem with the liquid? 4 marks. The liquid may not get into the skin or may be removed by the animal licking it. So we have to part the fur, put it on the skin, and then put it on the back of the neck where it can't be removed by the animal. So your answer is it gets removed by the animal licking it, or it doesn't go onto the skin, or another answer is Liquids can be spilt. So using a liquid can be spilt and the animal doesn't get the correct dosage. I think the easiest marks are can be easily removed by the animal, the liquid can be spilt, and the animal doesn't get the correct dosage. If a rabbit was becoming stressed, well, it's 4 marks. It's probably becoming stressed because it's thinking something's going to eat it. It's a prey animal. So it would lower itself, lower its ears and lower its body, so it can't be seen. That's 2 marks. Secondly, it would widen its eyes, open its eyes wider, so it's got a better view of any animals that might be coming to prey on it. You work in a reptile shop. Somebody's complained of stomach upsets after buying bearded dragons from you. What advice would you give them so they don't get stomach upsets? Number 1. Wear some gloves when using the animal so that you don't pass on infection, get infection on your hands, bacteria on your hands and then into your mouth. So wear gloves. 8 marks. Gloves is worth 1 mark to stop bacteria getting onto your hands and into your mouth. Secondly, clean the accommodation so that you don't get bacteria on your hands when you're handling the animal. Make sure the accommodation, the animal, is clean so that you don't get bacteria on your hands and therefore into your mouth. Secondly, keep the animal and its accommodation, its cage, away from areas where you're preparing food, such as a kitchen. And then finally, disposing of feces. Dispose of feces properly by putting it into a bag and bagging it and sealing the bag and disposing of it in a suitable bin.